Let's go through science. Let's talk about science. Elon Musk is sending marijuana to astronauts on the ISS and could create new mutant weed. No, he isn't. There's no ISS. If there was, and there's no astronauts, if there were, do you think that that would happen? Do you think Elon Musk would be able to send weed to astronauts in the ISS? It's not true. Not only is it not true, it's becoming, if the dam bursts many years too soon, and if there is no room upon the hill, I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. The dam burst many years too soon. That dam was knowledge. We can see too far. There's no curve. All right. Impossibly big black hole was probably impossible after all. What did I write? Oh. Let's see, what did I write on my Instagram? I kind of summed it up pretty well. It's just the shills coming after you for being right. It's just so stupid. All right, so where is it? I said, since all of science is based on unprovable theories like evolution, gravity, heliocentric model, none of it is valuable. Let that sink in real quick. All of science is based on unprovable theories. A theory is nothing more than a notion, a whimsical thought. Little history of Copernicus literally stated in his heliocentric model that it couldn't be proven and that it was just a theory. By the way, Copernicus was a gamma male. He waited till his death to publish it. A lot of people don't realize this. Copernicus, the father of the heliocentric model, he didn't tell anyone until he was dead. That's peak gamma, because he wanted to avoid criticism. Then the scientist who came up with the theory of the solar system stated that humans were living in the sun, inside the sun and inside the moon. That little fact is left out because people would realize that if all of these people are sci-fi writers who sent humanity in a falsely constructed reality, well, because people would realize that all these people are sci-fi writers. Understand that. They're sci-fi writers. This isn't science as you were described. Steven Spielberg is not a scientist. He's a pedophile with a camera. Why would they do this? Why? That's why I keep hearing. Because people who live in nonsense are extremely easy to control. And they're even easier to get to show the scientists their black holes for penetration. The black hole symbolism is all about the anus. I know I'm in a little bit of a weird mood, but it gets a little tedious sometimes. I'm glad I'm here with the Bears. I'm glad we're having a good time. But it's like, this one guy said, "Hey Owen, how come when I look through my telescope I see round planets, but can't make that assumption about my own planet?" I just wrote, "Because you are retarded." And then I said, "When you hear the same dumb question 1,000 times, you grow to enjoy answering it." For the record, like what he says is so dumb. All right, for the record, what you see in the sky doesn't correlate to what you are standing on. Just because there are shiny circles in the sky does not mean everything you see, touch, taste, and smell is all wrong. This is such a dumb question that I do believe the fluoride chemtrail combo is making people dumber. This is the equivalent of saying, "Owen, I just saw a bird in the sky. So doesn't that mean my house is a bird?" Guys, it's that stupid. It's like, "Hey Owen, how come when I look through my telescope, I see round planets, but can't make that assumption about my own planet?" You just assumed planet. Like, what? That's okay. So you see a little shiny circle in the sky, and then you say, you know what? The fact that there's no ability to measure or test any movement or a curve. A vacuum can't exist next to this atmosphere, and all of our information comes to known psychopathic liars named NASA. Okay, but on the other hand, there's shiny circles in the sky, so that means that what we're standing on is something that's impossible. All right? Someone else said to me, "I think you're just making yourself believe nonsense." My father was a structural engineer for NASA and helped build some of the rockets. You clearly don't know anyone that worked there that can tell you the truth. So I responded, your father is clearly a liar and probably a homosexual. Would you like to see a picture of a deflated rocket ship? Hang on. This is in a museum in Russia. Did you guys know that those rocket ships are balloons? There's a deflated one. Ha 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 ha. My father worked at NASA. How fucking damn. That means that I know we destroyed all the proof that we went back. Would you like to see it again? This is a picture of a rocket ship deflated because they're all balloons. And you know how the launch is so slow when it's like, and I'll show you where those smoke makers come from NASA. They have them. They make clouds. I'll do a whole episode on it, just like the dinosaur one. How's that sound? But you know how it like goes, and then it slowly goes up, and then it curves and goes into the ocean? Well, rockets don't do that. They just go really, really fast. Rockets go. These things go, they rock. They say they're 1.5 million pounds. They're not. And you can see them rocking. Like, they act exactly like helium balloons. And then here's one deflated. How dare you? How dare you, BigBear? My father worked in that. Your father was a homosexual. NASA is the biggest consumer of helium. Did you know that? NASA consumes the most amount of helium of any company in the world. We have a helium shortage. What do they do with all that helium? Would you like to see? Rockets are balloons. And then they land in the ocean after doing a perfect arc that looks a lot like the Disney Dome. It gets, I gotta keep the sense of humor with it because it's just, I mean, Elon Musk is going to ISS to give them weed. The thing is, people not seeing it, I'm just like, and then they call me stupid. All right, here's an impossibly big black hole. They're obsessed with their anuses. All right, here's another one. Beautiful dinosaur tail preserved in amber. No, it wasn't. And they said that was 99 million years ago. I'm just showing you all the stuff from, that was from 2016, but it said December. I thought that was recent. Here's another one. This is from this week. According to British Ecological Society, bumblebees exposed to Chernobyl levels of radiation consume more nectar. Oh, so you mean, let me interpret this for you because I know how to speak liar. Chernobyl was a hoax and bumblebees exist. Bumblebees explode because what's happening is people now see that Chernobyl is thriving. It's thriving. So in the 1980s, the nuclear meltdown that said no one could inhabit the lands for 50,000 years. And then they see, not only is there like bears and wolves and shit, the bees are crushing. And so they're like, wow, not only does radiation not affect the bees, apparently it's doing really good things to the bees. We have to look more, or there wasn't any radiation and the entire thing's a myth. But why would they do it, BigBear? I mean, I look up into the sky and I see shiny circles. So that means it's a curved Earth spinning endlessly into the infinite darkness created by science fiction writers that were all pedophiles that moved to Sri Lanka. True story. Although the Chernobyl exclusion zone is often thought of as a barren wasteland, in the years since the 1986 nuclear accident, it has become a biodiverse habitat. That took a turn. Home to dozens of charismatic species such as wolves and brown bears. Previous work at Sterling University has also revealed that pollinators are quite abundant in the area. Let me put on my thinking cap and really try and get to the bottom of this. I think that instead of, the confusion that these people are clearly experiencing, it might be a little easier to explain if we all knew that radiation was a hoax, Chernobyl's a hoax, there are no nuclear bombs, and it's all a lie to keep people in a little pen where they can be exploited and fucked in their anuses. Because that's a big part for scientists, as you can see. Look at that black hole. I mean, it's like disgusting when you know how they think. Every fucking media thing they say is it's just getting more and more crazy. Where it's like Elon Musk, a billionaire entrepreneur in America, is sending marijuana to astronauts on the ISS and could create new mutant wheat. Like, what the fuck? It's almost like shitty porn for women, where it's like dinosaurs are banging on the moon and stuff. It's like, this is not science. None of science is science because they're all based on false premises. People forgot that gravity is a theory. Evolution is a theory. These aren't laws. In fact, a lot of the laws go against all of it. The law of entropy with thermodynamics goes directly against the concept of a Big Bang. You know, a lot of scientists have said stuff like, evolution creating complex cells is the equivalent of a hurricane going through a junkyard and creating a Ferrari. People are like, well, how come no one whistleblows or speaks out? Because one group owns the media. People speak out all the time. They're silenced. If one guy owns the megaphone, that's all you hear. I know a lot of scientists and engineers that are like, there's no curve. In fact, engineers that push the globe model now, I am wary of because I know that there isn't proof of the curve. Either you're like in a delusion bubble that you can't get out of, which will end up hurting you in the long run. Or it's like, who the fuck do you work for? Dinosaurs, yeah, dinosaurs banging on the moon. Dude, it really does read like really shitty female porn. Where it's like Elon Musk is going to go to the ISS with weed and they're all going to smoke out and then fuck and suck with their black hole and then the moon. It's just like, what? Asteroids are obviously not what you think they are. But imagine thinking that the ISS was real or satellites are real. What happens when any of these asteroids hits them? Oh, there's no asteroids. There's constant meteor showers. Well, what's a meteor? Oh, it burns up before it hits the ground because of the velocity. And obviously it happens all the time because the atmosphere is the friction. It's like, okay, so what happens when it hits the ISS or a satellite? Well, there's protocols. If a rock is going 20,000 miles an hour and it hits like a preposterously delicate looking tin can thing, it would vaporize it. Like if I shot the Apollo 11, the Saturn rocket, with a fucking 22, everyone would die in it. It's an episode of Trailer Park Goes. I know, science is written by fiction writers.